All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we've made it to Friday. Thank you for tuning in. This is Joe Imbriano. Today is Friday, December 14th, 2018. And this is another broadcast coming at you from the streets of Orange County. And last night, there was quite a bit of chemtrail activity. And lo and behold, we've got a chem haze hanging over the county right now. No dew on the car, December 14th, no moisture in the air, clouds above. That's right, folks, they're keeping the dew point up and the moisture level and the relative humidity down. So whatever moisture is available ends up dumped 10 times more than it should be someplace else, so they can blame it on greenhouse gas. And blame it on me driving my 20-year-old car and me going in my backyard and lighting a log on fire and enjoying a nice warm wood fire before I go to bed on a cold winter evening. That's right, folks. But I'm here to talk to you about polio. Polio, folks, make no bones about it. Polio never left. It just got relabeled, reclassified. The criteria for determining whether a presentation of symptoms and disease is classified as polio has been in flux for some time. You can ask Jerry Lewis about polio because he made a big, fat, gigantic living off of polio by relabeling it muscular dystrophy, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Polio never left. The only thing that left was the title. That's right, they left the same actors on the stage. They just changed the curtain and the lighting. And of course, we don't have iron lungs anymore. We have respirators and steroid therapy. Now, we're hearing in the mainstream media once again that we are seeing a record number of acute flaccid myelitis cases in the United States this year. And there have been several deaths, and it's spreading to pretty much every state in the country. And yet these medical mafia morons called doctors, with all of their trillions of dollars worth of fancy equipment designed to diagnose and kill you and drug you and lie to you about what's really the solution to your problems, cannot figure out what's causing children to go limp and be paralyzed. Pretty frightening, isn't it, folks? But isn't that how it works? Isn't fear the biggest weapon they have, right? I have a family. One of my daughters the other day said, "Dad, I don't feel good," and decided to go lay down, and in typical fashion, she went into bed because she's smart. She knows when she's tired. That means to lay down. That doesn't mean to take a cup of coffee or drink some soda pop or go to Starbucks. That's right. See, the government wants to scare you into compliance with fear-based propaganda and mystery illnesses and solutions coming from people that use words that you can't pronounce. But don't fall for it, folks. So my daughter wasn't feeling too well, and I noticed her head was a little warm, and she said she had a headache, and you know, the symptoms of who knows what were beginning. So I said, "Honey, go to sleep. You know, take a day and just rest. Stay in bed." Now, the first question I asked her is, "Are you feeling numb anywhere or tingling anywhere? And if you have a headache, where's your pain?" Look, folks, you cannot ignore the symptoms of meningitis, especially when the government is releasing mosquitoes that are carrying these neuroinvasive encephalitic diseases that have been patented on a Rockefeller laboratory bench and injected into mosquitoes that also have had gene drives inserted in them by Alphabet up in Northern California, and they are releasing them ostensibly to control a mosquito population, and in fact, they're releasing them to control our population, folks. But anyway, I digress tremendously. But you've got to be aware of the symptoms of encephalitic disease that could result in something very, very serious, and that is high fever and, you know, headache at the back of the head and on the meninges, and of course, you know, numbness in extremities or tingling in the extremities. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Although this may be something that could happen, the question is not what, the question is why. We know that children are succumbing to paralytic disease right now, just as they have been for decades. And we've had these muscular dystrophy telethons. I think it was on, was it Thanksgiving weekend all the time? Or I don't remember. You know, everybody showed up and performed on these things, raising money, covering up the polio epidemic that never went away. And, you know, they've got other names for polio. They've got Lou Gehrig's disease. They've got muscular dystrophy. They've got all kinds of names for polio now, folks. Polio never left. And there's a reason why it's coming back, and that is because they're allowing the diagnosis of it to be more publicized, because there's an agenda at work here, ladies and gentlemen. And the agenda at work here is to get you all mystified and stupefied as to the cause of this frightening syndrome that is gripping the innocents as they lay in their beds and they wake up unable to move, and in some cases unable to move from below the nose, which is extremely scary because that means they can't breathe. That means their lungs don't work. So they put them on a ventilator or whatever, and they hype them up on steroids. Well, what we do know that they're willing to share with us, how graceful of these operatives to share something with us, is that it is an inflammatory disease of the gray matter of the spinal cord, hence myelitis is the term. And they tell us that it's a result of an inflammatory syndrome in the spinal column, in the gray matter, and they're telling us it's possibly caused by common enteroviruses such as the common cold. Boy, that's reassuring, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen, that the common cold can possibly paralyze your child, right? And their advice is to wash your hands and to stay up to date on your immunizations. Now, it's unfortunate that one of the side effects of the polio vaccine is polio. It's unfortunate that some of the side effects of some of these other vaccines are a paralytic manifestation of symptoms. And it's unfortunate that people don't have the common sense to realize that if the doctors don't know what's causing the disease, what sense does it make to take a shot to prevent it? But that doesn't stop people from lining up at the free clinics to get their EBT card and inject their kids so they can get the free daycare and the free mercury fillings and the free eyeglasses and the free backpacks and the free Section 8 housing for all their kids, right? As they turn them over to the daycare facilities that are paid for with the tax money. Because 70% of the children in the Fullerton School District where I live are on free lunch and on the doles, and they're getting the injections. And their parents are going along with everything because they question nothing and trust everyone because everything's free. And this is not a sit and sleep mattress commercial, folks. This is a serious problem because they got everybody hook, line, and sinker. If they can get them dependent, then they get them under control. The polio epidemic is beginning to be expanded for the purpose of promoting the vaccine agenda, folks. You see, this is a big marketing campaign, and these poor children are caught in the crosshairs. Acute flaccid myelitis, I've discussed, is caused by a variety of sources, the least of which is some mystery illness. Most children are being bombarded with phytoestrogens at extremely high levels in the womb because the women are jacked up on soy ice cream and soy protein isolate and hops from the beer and the estrogen compounds in the dairy products, in the ice cream, in the milk, and in the cheese, and in the Cheetos. Look, I don't know what some of these women are eating, but it certainly doesn't look like broccoli. I'm telling you, ladies, you got to get off the non-organic dairy. You got to get off the soy. If you have a child inside you, you better get off the phytoestrogens. And you know, flax seeds right up there on the list. You know, it's amazing how they're hopping everybody up on estrogen right now. And you know, if you've got an IUD that's a time release delivery mechanism for it. There you go. We got that going, right? And if you're on birth control, you know, these estrogen compounds, these hormones, you know, they build up in your body. And if you end up getting pregnant after you've been on birth control for years, or if you've been on Haagen-Dazs for years, or if you've been on Soy Delight for years, or, you know, if you've been on the Miller High Life for years. I mean, I don't know how much estrogen you've got in your body, or if you're on some sort of hormonal regimen that the allopathic poisonous petrochemical pill-pushing pimps in the white coats have got you on. I don't know. But I will tell you this. Just as it was back in the days of polio, when the animals were being fed diethylstilbestrol-laced food to eat, and the women were eating the milk and the cheese and the cream and the ice cream, and they were having these babies that had this autoimmune disorder that was diagnosed as polio, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Combined with the organophosphate poisoning exposure from DDT and all of that stuff. Well, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we got the same problem today, because wherever you look, it's soy this and soy that, and shots and Roundup and glyphosate and all these household germicidal antibacterial agents. The toxic overload is taking place in the womb still. And what happens is the child comes out with an autoimmune disease, and it's not known to the parent at the time because it doesn't manifest until the endovirus that is commonly referred to as the enterovirus that they refer to as a common cold, the body starts reacting to it, and it just so happens to start, you know, busting up the spinal cord, you know, and so you have some demyelination and inflammation in the gray matter of the spinal cord, and lo and behold, when you start squeezing all the nerves, they don't fire and transmit, and stuff stops working, and hence what you get is what you get. And it's always been a problem because it's been also induced by pathogenic organisms that are introduced by the CDC and the Fort Detrick, Maryland laboratory bench personnel, as they put it into the mosquitoes and add these pathogens to different vectors distributed around the country, and the ticks and now we're being told fleas can carry certain neuroinvasive encephalitic diseases. They're priming us, and they have no idea what's causing these kids to shut down, and they're priming us for a magic bullet, folks, and that magic bullet's going to be a syringe, and it's going to be administered to you by someone with a strange accent with an H-1B visa that's been brainwashed by a junior college and a medical school. That's right, because these are the people they're recruiting to do the dirty work. Have you been to Kaiser lately? Have you noticed who's telling you what to do? It's somebody that doesn't understand what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. So, on this Friday, with the headlines, once again, parents are now concerned that the CDC is withholding evidence and information on the acute flaccid myelitis outbreak. I'm here to tell you that if you take care of your children and you take care of yourself before you have children, you don't have anything to worry about, because your children aren't going to succumb to this. Now, if your children are eating frosted donuts for breakfast, and you know you're pigging out on all this ice cream and pizzas and everything when you're pregnant, your body's full of all these estrogen compounds, and your baby and your child is now full of all these estrogen compounds, and you're feeding your child estrogen-laced formulas called soy formula. Did you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Soy formula is loaded with phytoestrogens. You wonder why these children are developing autoimmune disease of their gray matter of their spinal cord, because those are the effects of a high level of estrogen in the womb and as a child, folks. Soy causes autoimmune disease. Phytoestrogens cause autoimmune disease. And it was demonstrated and clearly studied not until 20 years later in the 70s that diethylstilbestrol, when it was administered to pregnant women and when it was administered to the animals in the animal feed to fatten up these animals, to make them get big and fat fast with less food, less labor, easy money for the farmers, right? These children who were exposed to this stuff in the womb were coming out with autoimmune diseases of the spinal cord. Okay? This is a fact. And when you have an autoimmune disease, what happens is your body starts attacking its own parts. That's like going to the mechanic and having them trying to get the deer off the grill that you just ran into, and instead they go in the engine and start ripping the hoses out. That's what the autoimmune disease does, folks. Instead of getting rid of the problem, it rips everything apart looking for a problem. Autoimmune disease is horrible. Autoimmune disease is caused by vaccines. It is caused by cancer viruses that have been in the vaccines. It is caused by contaminants in the vaccines. It is caused by the hormones they put in the vaccines. And it is caused by high levels of estrogen in our food supply. And for the poor, unlucky saps that took the diethylstilbestrol pills to have an easier childbirth and delivery by the doctors back in the day, that's what it did. Autoimmune disease is not something that is normal, folks. As I drive by a Miller Lite billboard next to a porno shop on Beach Boulevard. Unbelievable. What is this? A massage parlor, TJ's Showgirls. Nice. Next to a Taco Hell. Oh, here's a 7-Eleven if you need a pack of menthols. Go in there and get yourself a burrito that they'll stick in the microwave for you. And then there's a Hell Taco right here. And if you're down on your luck and you just stole someone's catalytic converter, here's a pawn shop. Welcome to the American economy in 2018, right? As the kids are being paralyzed by some mystery illness, and no one can get pregnant because they haven't figured out the iPad did it to them when they were in junior high. Now we're supposed to take vaccines as a solution to everything. You know, they got, I think, like 300 vaccines in development right now. And they've got total immunity from screwing you up. The manufacturers can't be sued if the vaccines damage you. And the vaccines aren't tested for mutagenic potential, carcinogenic potential, or impairment of fertility. But don't you worry, you got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Del Bigtree running around like they just won some victory because they had to go to court to get access to some public information that we've had access to for 20 years. It's called the vaccine inserts. They clearly state that the vaccines haven't been tested, but they put on this big circus show, and now they're raising a whole bunch of money for what? It's called How to Absorb All the Grassroots Momentum from a Movement and Keep the war being waged on the American people in full swing, and how to neutralize anybody that has an inkling of getting involved. They figure, hey, the catharsis is I just send them a check and they'll fight the battle for me. That's exactly how the controlled opposition works. And that's exactly what's going on, folks. So if you think anybody's going to save you from this in the Trump administration or any of these hired hacks that have been put in place to put you to sleep, you got another thing coming. The agenda is moving forward and is marching on. And now they've got this acute flaccid myelitis outbreak, which is probably one of their best marketing tools in decades to get the vaccine hype all stirred up again, and how to quell the dissent and blame people like you and I for an epidemic that they're creating with the food supply and the bugs they're releasing with the diseases they create injected inside them. So, I mean, look, it is what it is, right? Here's another liquor store on this corner. There's a liquor store on that corner. There's a liquor store. Okay, we got a Motel 6 and 3 liquor stores on each corner. Boy, welcome. And here's Jack and the Crack over here. Welcome to the American economy, right? Everywhere you, I'm not kidding you, folks. I'm in an intersection, and the southeast corner has a liquor store. The northeast corner has a liquor store. The northwest corner has a liquor store. And the southwest corner has a Motel 6. Boy, they got you coming and going, don't they, folks? And then there's a sign that says Buy American out inside of one of these liquor stores, and it's for the frickin' cigarettes. Isn't that amazing? What have we become, right? Look, folks, you know, garbage in, garbage out. You want to keep feeding your kid Honey Nut Cheerios soaked in corn syrup and glyphosate-laced wheat. You want to keep eating those Frankenberries or, you know, the Cocoa Crisps, you know, the ones that take the enamel off your teeth and turn your eyes black. I'm just kidding about the eyes, but you know, if you want to keep feeding your kid garbage, and you want to keep taking your kid to the pediatrician, and you want to keep feeding your kid that soy formula, and you want to keep denying what's being done to you, then be my guest, ladies and gentlemen. Be my guest, and you deal with the fallout of ruining your kids, okay? If you want to take responsibility for your health and take control of your health, then it's up to you. Your two hands determine what goes into your mouth. Your two hands determine what goes into that shopping cart. Your two hands determine what goes into that refrigerator. Your two hands determine what goes into the oven. Your two hands determine what goes onto that table for your children. Okay? And if you want to bring crap into your house, you'll have a bunch of stupid, sick kids. And you're going to have a lot of problems. And you're going to have a lot of financial problems because going to the doctors and missing work and staying up all night and getting in fights with your husband because you're tired and you don't feel good is going to take its toll on a variety of fronts. But, you know, if the dinner table looks like something out of a health food magazine, then by and large, you're going to have a pretty decent shot, folks. All right? Keep it that way. Now, I mean, here, oh boy, here's another Taco Bell and a Wiener Schnitzel and a Bevmo. Oh boy, you know, this really is a kill grid. It's unbelievable. And everybody just wanders from, commissary to commissary to kill themselves. How do I keep digressing all the time? This is unbelievable. Well, look, folks, enough said. Enough said. All right, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to terminate this broadcast right now because you need to know that there's a couple things going on with the acute flaccid myelitis outbreak, and one of those things is the vaccines are partly responsible for paralyzing these kids. That's a side effect, and don't blame me, and don't believe me. Read the vaccine inserts. I'm not making this up. It's in plain English. Come on, Common Core hasn't destroyed the parents, has it? Can you guys read a vaccine insert? Why don't you ask that moron who's making $400,000 a year to inject everybody, these sick freaks in the pediatrician's office, what the heck are the side effects of this crap and what's in them? And ask him for the vaccine insert, not some handout that's written on the 6th grade level. I'm talking about the vaccine insert, the thing that's about the size of a Farrah Fawcett poster that I used to have in 7th grade. Come on. All right, don't jack up your kids on soy formula. Don't jack yourself up on soy products and a bunch of hormone-laden dairy because you can't control yourself. Learn how to control yourself, ladies. If you're pregnant, control yourself. Come on. You only got to do it for 9 months. Give me a break. And breastfeed your children, okay? Please. Why am I so harsh? Because I was like this with my wife. I love my wife. She loves me. We have 4 very healthy, beautiful children who don't need doctors. Now, if they break their neck, they're going to the hospital. All right? But if they get a fever, it goes away. I'm not worried about this stuff. And you shouldn't live in fear either. And you know what? If they don't have answers as to what's causing this, what makes you think they got a solution to prevent it, folks? If they can't tell you what's causing this, all this time with all this technology, then how in the world are they going to have some vaccine to prevent it? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834, WiFiDangers.com, and thefullertoninformer.com on the internet, and JoeImbriano777 at gmail.com. And just a quick word from our sponsor, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, Yeshua HaMashiach, the sinless one who shed his sinless blood on that cross 2,000 years ago, as full propitiation and atonement for all our sin, folks. Accept it. Believe, repent. Get clean, get right with God. Jesus saves. It's a wonderful life, folks. Knowledge is power, and he who is free indeed. And Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but through him. I didn't say that, he did. I didn't write that, it's in the Bible. I believe the Bible is the whole inerrant word of God. It's infallible, and it's accurate. All the way from the beginning to the end, folks. All the way from the beginning that says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And in Genesis 1:6 it says we have a dome over us. And in the very end it says, behold, I come quickly. And he did in 70 AD, folks. It's all fulfilled. And all power in heaven and on earth and the keys to death, hell, and Hades are in Jesus' hands. And guess what? So are we. God bless all of you. We'll see you later.